What's going on, guys? So this is going to be a two-part video. This first one is this is a preliminary intro on the next video I'm putting out, which is going to be about how I built the headlights. It's going to go through an in-depth whole video about building the headlights, a time lapse on how I did it, how I took it apart. It's going to be a lot of helpful tips in there to help guys that want to do custom headlights and things like that. Now, there are a lot of great videos on doing custom headlights, which I follow, which helped me greatly. But I also feel like if I can have a little video to help more in depth explain things, I will do that. Also, I did a different setup. I did a dual projector setup, so my high beam is now a projector, which looks really good, and also, in some people's opinion, it might work better, it might not, but in my opinion, I think just for the looks alone, it's worth it. So yeah, with the high beam setup, it looks good, but however, if you decide to do the dual projector setup with your headlights, there is some fabrication that's going to be needed. It is not a plug and play type of situation. I'm not going to say it's hard, but you're going to have to drill holes. You're going to have to match the holes up with the stock headlight housing mounts, having housing mounts. So you do have to do some fabrications. And another thing with where I did it, I only used 2 bolts to mount the 2 sheet metal screws to mount the new high beam projector into place. But what comes into play is the alignment of it, making sure that it's aligned as good as well as you can with the stock by Z9 projector. I was able to get damn near head on with it, but at the same time you're going to have to kind of play around with it to make it work to the way you want it to work. I didn't get it perfect because I'm not a headlight builder. It's a lot of guys and I'm gonna be honest with you. After building my headlight, I used to be like, man, I'm not paying $16, $17 for a pair of custom headlights. What I have to, what these guys go through to make the headlights perfect is worth every penny paying them. Because granted, though I like how mine look, and I get a lot of compliments on my headlights. It was a lot of things that my OCD are not happy with. Like my paint's not perfect. My halo rings, though they are pretty much lined well, it's like off a little bit, and only I can tell. A lot of people won't be able to tell. Most people won't be able to tell, but I can tell like they're off a tad. So I would say I see why it costs so much to build headlights, because it's a pain in the ass. And not only is it a pain in the ass to get them apart, also a pain in the ass to get everything kind of aligned right, get everything painted correctly. It takes a lot to it. It's a lot of steps to this, then putting it back together. I'll tell you this. And I kind of did this theory just for my sake, not just for everybody else's sake. One of my headlights were resealed using the oven zip tie method, which is what I call it, which I saw a lot of people do. And the other one was done using the heat gun and zip tie method, meaning one side was put in the oven at 215 degrees for 15 minutes to let the butyl sealant kind of heat up and the plastic heat up. So when you do that, when you take it out, you tighten up the zip ties a little more just to get it a decent seal. Then you kind of get you some good heat gloves, and you kind of just massage around the area to reseal all the butyl up with the plastic housing. Because the housing, believe it or not, even though it's gonna look bad when you take it apart, when you put it back together, honestly, it's actually gonna fall back into place when you heat it back up, believe it or not. However, I will say when I did the heat gun method, that was my first headlight too. So I would say it wasn't sealed as well sealed as the oven. The oven gives you an all even amount of heat, whereas the heat gun is not going to give you an even spread of the heat all around. Also, you're not going to be able to heat the butyl up and the housing up as efficient as an oven, because when you take it out of the oven, it's going to be, everything on that headlight is going to be 210 degrees, whereas with a heat gun, one part might be 300 degrees, the other part might be 90 degrees. So it's not going to be an even spread of the heat to put everything back together properly. So I say that because of with all that being said, I'm glad I tested this theory for you guys as well. When you do the oven method, the one with the oven method, I let my car sit out in the rain, which I do anyway, but I want to really see how it was going to work out. We had a rainstorm that came over the weekend. We got about an inch of rain, and it was a little chilly too. It was humid too. So I got to really see what was going to happen with the sealing of the headlight. I'm happy to report the oven headlight had no condensation at all. It was perfect. However, the one I did with the heat gun had condensation. So because of that, that's something that, I'm going to tell you guys, if you have access to an oven, if your wife lets you get access to an oven, if you're married or if you're single, whatever, if you have access to an oven, when you put the headlight back together, use the oven method. Now, when you take it apart, I'm going to say use the heat gun method, because as I explain in the video, I'll tell you why in the video when I put it out, why you want to use the heat gun method, because I think it's just it gives you control of the heat, and also you can add the heat when you need it, but it's not going to be the reasons you would think you would use the heat, which I'm explaining in the video. But overall, I say it was a great project to do. I'm happy I did it. It's unique. It's something different. I did mine different than a lot of people have done it, but I did use a lot of people's ideas from their builds, which were great builds. But then I wanted to add my own little twist on it. So, but yeah, this is just, like I said again, this is a video going over everything, like a preliminary intro into the next video that I'm gonna put out, that has everything like in depth and things like that. So, yeah, so stay tuned for that video down here checking out.